Hello, beautiful ladies. Welcome to the Jen Marples show. If you are new here, welcome. I am so happy to have you. And if you are a returning listener, well, thank you for being with me. We've been at this for about 3.5 years, and I simply love doing the show. And I'm just here to let you know that you're not too fucking old to do whatever the hell you want. And today we've got a beautiful guest. She is a dear friend. Her name is Lisa Raja. And she is a midlife style expert stylist, and she helps women embrace midlife with confidence, grace, and authenticity. And so, like I said, she is a stylist and she is fabulous. And she's also a certified menopause coach. So what she offers is something a bit different than others, in that she really is getting to the root of why we are so hard on ourselves and are maybe stuck in our old ways. And also that she knows exactly the transition that we're all going through in midlife, and our bodies are changing. And she's created a whole new sort of company to support that. And that's called the Pause Bar. So I'm just thrilled to have her today. You're going to learn all about her pivot, which is also very interesting to hear, because again, I want to give all y'all real stories of women making big changes in their lives. So, you know that if they can do it, you can do it too. And she's also, of course, going to give us some great insight into why we're feeling the way we feel about fashion and style, as well as give us a lot of tips that are going to help us dress the best way possible for ourselves, which ends up giving us so much confidence and helps us really get our inner light and lightness back, so we are not battling with clothes and old things that are in our closet that aren't serving us, but we are instead operating from a place of joy and confidence, and that has huge ripple effects on all aspects of our lives. So you are going to love this conversation. And of course, this is one you're going to want to share with all your friends. I want you to share all these with your friends, by the way, because sharing is caring. And the more we grow this podcast and this community, the more women that are empowered to go out there and slay, because that is what we are about. We are midlife. We are not stopping, and we are wanting to go out there and do the damn thing. So enjoy today's show, and I will see you soon. Lisa, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here. We have a lot of great conversations offline. And so you all know when I mention that there are leadership groups that I'm in and monthly lunches that I attend, Lisa is one of these beautiful women who is part of my inner circle and who is a gorgeous human. And I love the fact that, we rely on each other and we can tap into each other and support each other. And again, that goes back to why I even started this podcast. So you all are going to be in for a treat today, because we're talking about some fun things and serious things, because fashion and how we dress can be fraught in midlife. It just can be. I mean, I know jackets that fit me 5 years ago do not fit me now. And thank God, Lisa, I'm okay with it. And so I think there's something happens too once you hit 50, that the give a fuck factor kicks in, and it wouldn't have sent me into a spiral if the same jacket didn't fit, say, when I was 38. That would have sent me on a spiral of, starving myself and running 18 hours a day and all that kind of good stuff. But so y'all, we're going to get into a really great conversation. And your big takeaway today is going to be how fashion can really help us maybe even be happy. It can help us in work. It can help us in life. And Lisa's going to share some beautiful tools and tips with us of like what we should have, some great staples, and how to work with what the good Lord gave us and what we're dealing with now, because we both agree that we're done beating ourselves up about what was and what should be, and let's embrace who we are now, and let's use fashion as a tool. So Lisa Raja, welcome to the show, my dear friend, and I cannot wait to get into all the things with you today.
Thank you for having me. I'm super honored to be able to speak to you and spend some time with you and share whatever expertise I can with your audience. So thank you for having me.
Yay. So, what in a true Jen Marples show fashion, we love a pivot story, we love an expansion story because so many of you listening are thinking about new things, diving into new things, have some, things on your heart that you want to explore that maybe you aren't exploring. So, Lisa, as I had said, started out as a stylist and she has just recently expanded her business. But it's, as we all know, doing something new is not easy. So, Lisa, let's just start with your pivot into working with midlife women solely and becoming a menopause certified coach and how that informs your styling business today. And also, of course, because I know all the juicy tidbits of what you're looking for towards doing in the future.
Yeah, so that's a great question. I've spent about 25 years in fashion and retail in all aspects, and I'm also a serial entrepreneur. And there's been several ventures that didn't quite go the way I wanted them to. And after my husband was exhausted from not having a second income in the house, a few years ago, it was like, okay, it's time to like get a job. And instead of getting a stable job, I decided to go into startup world, which inevitably ended up in a crash and burn for me. But what I didn't realize, in addition to just the toxicity of startup life, I was going through menopause. And at that time, Oprah hadn't made it cool or popular. And so I didn't understand what was happening with my body. And I just thought, oh, it's the pandemic. It's my in-laws moved in. It's startup life is really hard. And I just ignored the symptoms. And also then my doctor gaslit my symptoms. So there was that. After I quit the startup job, I finally put my stake in the ground to sort of take on the work that I do now, as it was like a calling. I needed to do it. And, it took me a minute. I had lost some confidence. And as I was building it, what I realized was that every woman's body that I work with at this stage, because most of the women I'm talking to are sort of 40 plus, the body is my canvas. And so at this stage, everything that we talk about is menopausal, related to menopause in some way, shape, or form. And so as the dots connected and I realized my own journey and how that conversation helped the women I was working with, it made sense that I wanted to get certified as a menopause coach. And not because, I'm in the business of coaching menopause specifically or solely, but it was a really beautiful lens on using clothing to help a woman feel confident and beautiful during a time that is actually super challenging and can, take that confidence that you may have once had away. And so it was like a beautiful pairing. And in that, like, I finally felt like I was where I was supposed to be, and I could take years of style and fashion and pair it in a way that actually made sense to the woman herself, not based on trend or brand, but based on who she is, where she is in life, and what her body looks like right now.
Ooh, I love all of this so much because, and the women listening to the show, like we're doing all the things, we're working, like you're caring for parents, we're out there, we're out and about. We're trying to get new jobs. We're starting companies. We are solopreneurs. And, fashion is a big piece of making us feel better about ourselves. Even just today, I'm talking to Lisa, so I up my game a little bit for what I put on my body today talking to you. But it's truly, it makes such an impact. Like if I had a different jacket on or I just did a sweater, I'm not like in my power. So I have a lighter pink jacket on. If you all are listening, but if you're watching on YouTube, you can see what I'm wearing. But I even took care in like the bottom part of what I'm wearing today because I'm like, I don't want to feel schlubby. I just don't want to have like yoga pants on. So I have like cute little pink pants that match. I mean, they're still comfortable because, I work from home, but it does change something. So what is it about fashion, Lisa, that has such a profound psychological effect on us? And I guess the second part of that question is why it matters and we shouldn't give up on trying to put ourselves together the best way possible and in the way that makes us feel great.
Yeah, listen, I mean, if you think about New Year's Eve or girls' night out or date night and the effort that you put in to get dressed and you put on extra makeup or you'll zhuzh your hair or whatever, there's a feeling that comes from that. And it is a very powerful feeling. And I think we have now, post-pandemic, I think it's changed how we look at clothing in general. So many of us work from home. Even if we've gone back to work, I think clothing and how we dress, it's become more lax. And so to your point, we're like, okay, maybe the top is good on top and the bottom's whatever. Or we get to 3 o'clock and you're like, I'm already in my pajamas most of the day. So like, why bother? But if you can think about what it feels like when you get dressed up for a special occasion, like what that does to you confidence wise, when you want to like catch yourself in the mirror for a second, or when like a compliment is just natural because you've put some effort into it. I think we focus so much on special occasions. And I always say it's like, sure, you're going to look great on Saturday night for date night, but like, do you look good on Tuesday at Safeway? Because I think if you can replicate that feeling of a special occasion on the day to day, it does have transformative effect on how you show up in the day. And it doesn't have to be a ball gown and diamonds and pearls and high heels. But I think the effort that you make, and it's also psychological, right? Like I made effort for myself. I spent 5 minutes, 3 minutes to do something for myself. And I think that like taking the effort and caring about how you present, it's subconscious, but it makes your shoulders go back, your chest puff a little bit. It makes your voice stronger. It makes you ask for more. It makes you want to be seen and want to be heard. And, it's that you feel good, you do good. And then it's in repeat. You want more of that. It's addictive.
I love that. You brought up something interesting. It's just reminding me of a story of, because I work from home and I'm guilty of, if I'm not recording and doing videos and stuff, I'll just roll from bed, put something on, and then maybe go to yoga. And I'm just in that kind of like, like kind of like, whatever. And I look at myself in the mirror like, oh gosh. And then one day I was recording and then I was out and about running errands, and all of a sudden I got people saying, oh, what a cute jacket. And this was like at the grocery store. This was nowhere fancy, or just more smiles came my way. I think what we wanted to understand too, it's like not a superficial thing, but I know I felt better about me and my place in the world of like, I'm not some overworked 50 something woman with teens at home. And I'm, every day's a slog. I was like, yeah, I am kind of cute. Like I got a compliment on my jacket. I got a compliment on my handbag. I'm like, and then it made me happier. And then I was like, how are you today? And then, it just, I had this total memory of that. So Lisa, why don't we make the effort? What's the underlying reason of why we don't do it when we know that could possibly be like one of many outcomes of actually taking the time?
So it's a two-part answer. First of all, I think women are we're conditioned to take care of everyone before ourselves, right? Like you're going through the day on serving your partner, work, your job, your kids, your community. You're exhausted by the time all that's done. And it seems difficult. And also I think capitalistic America, the world is constantly sending you like, this is in, that's out, this is out, this is in, more, less, higher, lower, all the things. I think we forget we're confused on what we even like, right? So it's like you're constantly being bombarded of like all the things you're supposed to do. You're supposed to wear this. You need to like that. Quite often, we don't like the things that are being thrown at us when you don't have time and you're overworked and tired. And there's so much messaging coming out about what you're supposed to do and supposed to like. I think it becomes really confusing. And instead of like, there's very little mental space, you're just like, whatever, I'm just going to throw something on and get on with my day. It doesn't really matter. And that over time can erode confidence. And, as you were saying, like, it's not that I'm going into Safeway because I want to look like a princess or a queen, whatever, but I do think there's something about, you'll catch a smile more readily. You'll linger a little bit. You're not in a rush. Like when you feel crappy, it's like, if I have to go to Safeway, I'm like, just head down and like grab the milk and get out, right? It's kind of like the stop and smell the roses mentality when like you've put some effort into yourself. But I think generally speaking, it's just like, it's time and mixed messaging on what's important. And then you just lose the whole moment just gone in that.
Oh, that's a really interesting framework. And it is overwhelming. And you're like, do I wear like Adidas shoes or do I do that?
Yeah.
Or that's so young. Women do. And we're going to get to like basics and all that in a minute. But I'm curious because you mentioned something interesting, like, women's bodies as a canvas. And that's what, kind of sent you back to go get trained. Just so you can understand like what women are truly going through with menopause. and we've had menopause folks on here, and we all know, like everyone listening, just in my conversations with people, it's like there's the 5 pounds, there's the 10 pounds, or there's like the 30 pounds, like there's all this stuff. So when you're working with women, like what's the transformation you've seen by working with what you've got? Because I think too, we all have, everyone listening, like raise your hand, like who has a pair of jeans or a jacket in your closet still that doesn't fit? It might not never ever fit again, but you have it there because maybe someday. And so I'm sure you talk to your clients about that. So just let me know what that transformation is like, and then also tell everybody to throw away those jeans because you probably will.
So so the funny thing is that if I had a penny for every client that's like, I have a closet full of clothing and I can't get dressed. That is like the number one thing that's said. And it's true. There is a closet full of clothing and we're creatures of habit and you end up wearing the same 3 or 4 things over and over again. I always say a lot of the clothes, to your point about the jeans, we hold on to stuff in our life where we were happier, our marriages were happy, our careers were booming, our kids didn't talk back. We felt we were physically like thinner or whatever, more strong at a certain point. And so you hold on to clothes from that time frame. Meanwhile, like all of this life has happened and now you're over here. You actually don't even like ruffles and whatever it was that you made you feel good back then. But the bridge with time and all the things that are on plate, like it's hard to make that bridge from one side to the other. And speaking for myself, I was 25 pounds overweight through the menopause journey. And it was just, each year was creeping on, no matter what diet. I did every diet, any diet you can name, I did it, and none of them worked. And I got to the point where like I was completely self-loathing. Like I couldn't even walk naked in front of my husband. I was so, I'm so shy and so embarrassed. Didn't recognize my own body. I would just shimmy from the bathroom to the closet and back so he wouldn't see me. But what I have found now is like, look, the body's going to fluctuate during this time up and down, maybe several times until it levels. And even the level might be a different shape than what it was before. What I preach with my whole heart is like, you have to love your body at every stage because the self-loathing is detrimental to your just how you show up in life. And what I know without a shadow of a doubt is there is enough color, print, silhouettes, styles that will fit any body, any tummy weight. There's ways to like make that feel good or mask it if you just want to like not deal with it. There's enough out there. And so I think instead of hiding from it, instead of like beating yourself over not being where you want to be or what you think is the right weight or whatnot, if you embrace it and love that body, because 5 years from now, when you look back, you are going to be the most beautiful, you're going to look back and be like, we look at our pictures from 5 years ago and we're like, oh my God, I look really good. Well, you're right now at that stage. So if you don't embrace what you have and love what you have and use the tools out there to highlight the areas that you want to show off and feel good about, like, you're doing yourself a disservice. And so a lot of my conversation with my clients is like, look, let's lean into what you have. Every woman has parts that she wants to highlight and show off. And like, look, let's lean into that more, but love your body.
You made me think of a story about like looking back at the pictures. And I think this goes to, was I in perimenopause? Maybe I was like late 30s. No, I wasn't late 30s. I was early 40s. So I've been going into perimenopause. And anyway, but I was working out like a ton more and like kind of having, and like in retrospect, restrictive eating and this, that, and the other. And I look back at those pictures and I remember saying to myself, oh gosh, I wasn't saying I was fat, but I wasn't where I was going, where I wanted to be. And of course, now looking back, you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, like what? And it was destructive behavior. And thankfully I'm past it. I do feel like when you hit a certain age, yeah, I'm not super excited about the way things are shifting, but I'm not this person before who is so self-loathing. And I don't know if that comes with seeing a therapist, Lisa, or if that just comes with age, if that really comes with hitting actual menopause. And I'm 55 now, because I know, and I would love to know and what your clients have gone through in your own experience of, because I personally think we do accept ourselves better than we did, say, when we were like 38 going, you put on 5 pounds, it's a crisis. You're like, deep, dark thoughts like, I can't have these extra 5 pounds or 10 pounds on.
Yeah.
So it makes me sad. it also makes me sad, and I'm sure it makes you sad. It's none of us, like we're all beautiful, and I know it's a little bit easier said than done. So I just love your sort of thoughts on like, what you see with your clients and your own story. Thank you for sharing that, because I know a lot of us, we don't want to walk around naked in front of our partners, and that makes me sad.
Yeah. I mean, it made me very sad. You know, like, and especially in the business that I'm in, like I was insecure myself for the longest time. Like it was hard to navigate my own figure. And so then I was like, I'm trying to help her feel confident about her figure. And here I am, I'm not even confident about my own. I think like menopause is hard, right? I'm not saying that it's easy, but it is a gift. And I think if we can reframe the fact that it's actually your body saying, hey, listen, like it's time for you to take care of yourself, right? I keep going back to how much women take on, all the emotional labor, all the things that we hold. We are breaking epic barriers right now. And so if we're doing all the things we're doing to move forward and we're not letting go of the emotional labor or like the expectation that we have to do everything, and then you add the physiological changes, there's a crack. Like you can implode at that. I imploded and I didn't know what was happening. And so I think this gift, so to speak, is a place and a time in which it's like, look, you have to do things like worry about your sleep and how much sleep you're getting, which will help brain health in general and make you feel better. You do need to worry about what you're eating, and not because I'm not advocating at all to be thinner. I'm advocating to be stronger and healthier. And so diet changes, which will affect your sleep, strength training, so we don't get osteoporosis. And so bone health and just overall strength is important, and taking care of your mental health. So saying no, setting those boundaries. When we do all of those things, it allows, I mean, your body naturally heals and changes and is stronger and healthier. And I think there's some appreciation for our bodies at that point when you're actually taking care of it. I know this is a silly example, but like if you've been on a diet for 3 weeks and you've been really good, and then you wake up and you're like, I'm going to eat toast or a donut or whatever. And then you're like, shit, I already screwed it up. So I'm going to eat pizza for lunch and then wash it down with 2 glasses of wine. It's the same thing. If we don't make the effort to constantly, like, I think if you start and you take the steps to heal yourself and, care for yourself, I think there's a ripple effect of that makes you want to do better. And then I think when you add style and whatnot, and you are proud of your body and you want to show it off, there's this magical thing that happens.
You're making me think of, and you probably experienced this, or maybe you've even said this, but the fact that if you started with just dressing differently, putting makeup on and doing that, that would be easier to get on a course of then starting the other things like the eating better and maybe trying a new exercise class and all of that. It's kind of like that start by feeling better versus this, I can't put anything cute on until I do this, versus just start now. I think that's kind of what you're saying. Like just start now.
Yes. And that's a great point, because I think all the things, the eating, those are important and you need to do them. And it, like I said, that opening happens for you to do it, but that takes a little time, right? And it takes effort. What you put on your body has instantaneous effect on how you look. Doing your hair, putting on some makeup, light makeup. I'm not saying to, full face of like, Oscar level makeup, but just making the effort. The 2 things I say to women is like, lingerie is actually a gift for you. It does have other added benefits, but that silk or lace or color that's rubbing on your body is you loving on yourself. It's for you. I mean, someone else might see it later. Like I said, there's a second benefit, but that is the foundational layer of you putting on things that are nice for you. Like, I think we're creatures of habits. Like I wear my husband's pajamas, or I used to, and it's like you schleppy all the time, schleppy underneath, schleppy on top. And I think the biggest thing is like, it's not about how much money you spend. I think I often have a problem with the word stylist, because I think people think I'm going to come in with a rolling rack of Chanel and then say, this is exactly what you have to wear, and then you'll feel great after $1 million of spend. It's not. You can do that at any store, at any price point. It's actually the effort. And it is, to your point, it is an instantaneous effect on like, oh, look, like I brushed my hair, I put it back, or I pulled it back and into a cute ponytail, and I put some lip gloss on, and I put on something that makes me feel good. And fit is the other thing that, like, I think, you know, when we're not feeling confident, we're just like covered up, hiding the oversized whatever. And there's times and places for that. Like sometimes you just want to be overly cozy. But I think when you lose yourself in a lot of fabric, it also has this like psychological effect of like, I'm hiding, and we're not hiding anymore. Like I said, there's clothing that will make everybody feel good. And if you embrace that, like, and embrace your body and put that lingerie on that feels really good for you, there's this thing that happens in your brain. You're like, I'm caring about myself and I like myself.
Oh, you're just making me think too, when a woman is confident and I've always said the most beautiful women, it has nothing to do with looks or it has nothing to do with body style. I think it's just the way, you carry yourself through the world. And if you feel good about yourself, you're going to radiate. It's that same, we all have those stories back in the day when we're all dating and you're like, why are all these guys like swarming around me? I have zero makeup on. I just came from the beach. Like I'm ratchety. It's because you're not caring. You're like with your friends, you're laughing. You're making me think of that same scenario. And then when you got yourself all dolled up where you looked good, but you didn't necessarily feel good and you were insecure, no one came around. Right. So I feel like
energy field that like is around you when you're like just owning it. Like I'm good. And look, I think I told you, I've lost a considerable amount of weight, and I am far from, I still have a 6-month child that lives at my stomach permanently. Would I like to be more fit and, muscular, or not muscular, but like, what's the word when toned? Yes. But that's another journey I need to be on, but I'm good where I'm at. Like, I've just accepted it. I'm like, I'm working with what I have. And that makes my energy field just feel right. And like, I'm going to walk into a room. It is what it is. I'm happy with what I have. And I do the best that I can. And I'm proud of it, whatever it is.
I have to say, I feel the same way. And it's so funny and being transparent. Like, even just from like 2 years ago, there's even a couple pants, and I have them in my closet, Lisa, that, like, I really don't weigh myself because it's like how clothes feel. And I can look in the mirror and I know. And then I'm like, I can honestly say to myself, like, I don't really care. Like, I stay fit, like I exercise. I do need to start eating a little bit better. I probably don't eat enough. I get wrapped up in work, and I'm one of those people who doesn't eat maybe till the end of the day. I snack and whatever. That's a whole other conversation. But we went out on Saturday. It was prom. We went out on Saturday night, and I put myself together, and I'm like, for 50 fucking 5, like, this is good. Like, this is good. Why am I beating myself up about like the other pants that are in it? Like, just throw those away. Like, it's okay. But having said that, I'm coming from, some type of healed place around it because I wasn't that way before. So for everyone listening who's, they're at a different phase in their journey, but we all know everybody's bodies change. We just know that is a hard and fast rule. Everybody's bodies change at this time in life. Like, are there certain items that look good on everybody, or what should women be looking to add or subtract to, and I guess it's maybe you want to go by body sizes, but what are some things that we could instantly add that would just make us feel really great about ourselves?
Yeah. I think generally speaking, a lot of those things are based on your body shape, as you were saying. And, I have always been very clear about, like, and I think I said this already, that I don't have any allegiance to a brand or a trend, right? I always get asked, well, skinny jeans in? I'm like, well, if skinny jeans look good on you, then they're in. And if skinny jeans don't look good on you, then they're out. Or if you don't feel comfortable in them, then they're out. I do think there's like staples that are important for everyone. And I think accessories are one of those categories that get overlooked quite often, because like you can almost keep like a uniform or a very basic monochromatic outfit if you don't have a budget to buy a bunch of stuff. But with scarves and jewelry and shoe pops and colorful bags, you can kind of reinvent the outfit over and over again. The one thing that I think is a staple everyone should have is a blazer, which your blazer is on brand right now. And It's not for the corporate woman necessarily. It's for every woman. Stay at home, corporate, creative, whatever. Blazers come in all different shapes and sizes and prints and half sleeve and long sleeve and a sleeveless vest. I think it can frame a woman's body really well, especially if you're feeling a little heavier. Oversized blazers are kind of a thing right now, which doesn't work for everyone. But if you're feeling self-conscious in your body and you need something to kind of frame you, as long as you're wearing something that's on your shoulders or basically hits your shoulders at the right place, meaning that it doesn't go over or have a drop shoulder. I think any shape can feel really good and pull together. You can do it with denim, you can do it over a dress, you can do it with a skirt, and it's a very polished way to pull yourself together without having to think too much. You can go over a t-shirt. So I think there's a lot of fun you can have with it. You can put a brooch on it for a little bit more detail and interest, or you can wrap a scarf around your neck. And so I think the blazer itself is it's like a gift that in an instant moment can just kind of pull you together.
I love a blazer, and I'm so glad you said that. I have so many, and after living so many years in the city in San Francisco too, it was always cold. I have like 80,000 different blazers and jackets and jeans. I guess because I guess your own sort of personal style. And Lisa, you'll be
Yeah.
so proud of me. I was speaking, and this is a point I wanted to go back to about having really pretty fabrics and how some things are made. Sometimes we buy things that aren't made that well, but in a recent speaking event, I bought a vest and a blazer,
Hmm.
and they matched, and it was like lined with like it was a silky lining, and I
Hmm.
put it on and it made me feel equal parts feminine
Hmm.
yet in my power, because I was
Hmm.
going to be speaking at an event, and I bought a full skirt, a pleated skirt rather, which is totally out of my wheelhouse, and I went out of my comfort zone because I always wear pants.
Hmm.
I'm like, I'm going to try it. It was all presented together, thank God, at the store I was at. And I felt so good that day. And I want to talk about the power of this, I felt pretty, I felt feminine, I felt in my power, and I felt appropriately dressed for the time of day that this event was at. And the funniest thing is I got so many people coming to me like, that looked so great. You looked so great. And I realized too, and this is the point I want to go through, is that I get stuck in my zone of the things that I normally wear. But something intuitively told me to go out of my zone, and I tried something, and then I got this response, which then made people also freer to come up to me and I think speak to me because I was more approachable. So, like, why does that happen? And how can we get out of our ruts? Because like I said, I'm the biggest one. I am pants, a top, and some kind of a jacket. But for me to put on a pleated skirt and then go at it, and I was cream, I wasn't like hot pink. It was real interesting for me. It's kind of a little experiment. So how can we get out of our ruts and find things that really work for us, and also help us be the woman we want to be out in the world? Because everyone out there is trying to do all their things that they're trying to do.
Yeah. Like I said before, we're creatures of habit. And so that's like, I think the first place we kind of miss, right? I think the important thing is to ask yourself when shopping or when picking things even out of your own wardrobe is, what do you like? Because I think back to what I was saying earlier, we're constantly bombarding with what we should like that we then I think become we get stunted, and then we can't make a decision. And I had a woman come up to me recently, and a really beautiful woman, tall, and she had gorgeous hair, and she was wearing an olive green slip dress with an olive green uh, sweater and combat boots. And she must have been, I don't know, 60s, somewhere around there. Just beautiful style. And I was wearing a longer jacket, and she said to me, so my friends were telling me that I need a longer jacket. And I was like, well, do you like longer jackets? And she was like, no, I don't like them. And I was like, well, then you don't need a longer jacket. And, number one, I think you need to be tried and true to what you like. But I do think you should experiment with what you like, not with what someone tells you you like, right? Going in, being a little adventurous, try things on. I mean, if you go into a store, experiment a little bit. I think trying to ask yourself what you like besides what's the norm in your closet is where where some magic can happen. But I would say don't do the things that you don't want to because someone told you to do it. Like if that's out of your comfort zone, that's not, in the end of the day, like I feel like it will make you cower. Like you want your shoulders back and chest out. So yeah, you took a chance. Someone helped you and kind of gave you advice. But I think if you didn't feel called to it at some point, you wouldn't have put it on your body. If she gave you some amorphic, weird something, you probably would have been no, even though she was like, even if she had said to you, oh no, you need to wear this. So I think you have to try things, but also I think you need to be true to like what you like and what feels good to you. And leave some room for magic to happen.
Leave some room for magic. And you made me think of something. I actually have a sister who's a stylist and she's just edgy. And, I like aspire to, be edgier in how I dress. But Katie, if you're listening, shout out. And she'll bring up, and she knows, I'm like a lot more conservative. I have a little bit of a rock and roll side, but most of my stuff is pretty basic. And she's like trying to push me up. But sometimes things I'm like, okay, they resonate. And other times they don't, because I just can't inherently, I feel like, pull something off. So a question that I'm sure everyone is asking is like, what does it mean to work with somebody like you? Like, do we all need a stylist? You said before, it feels like this scary investment, but I'm all about investing in things that make us feel better, do better, and go slay and accomplish that. So do we need to work with a stylist just if we're going to go have a big speaking event, or just to plan out a wardrobe because you've got meetings and you just want to live your life in a way you just want to show your best self? So explain like just the benefits of actually working with a stylist.
Yeah. So I think number one is making the effort or taking the stance on this is something you're going to do for yourself. Number one. Number two, sure, it is very helpful if you can work with a stylist. It's not something maybe everyone can do or everyone wants to do, but it's similar to like when you hire a personal trainer or nutritionist. Yes, we know we need to eat more broccoli and more protein and all the things. But is it 20 pounds and 10 reps, or is it 10 pounds and 20 reps? And, it can get confusing. So sometimes it's nice to have an advocate in your corner that's rooting and helping you accomplish your goals, right? And I think depending on who you hire, you need to make sure that the process is not about what's trending, but it's about you. It's about your body. It's about your shape. It's about where you are in life right now and what you're trying to call in, right? Because you want to dress for that. I don't want to look like you. You don't want to look like me. She doesn't want to look like her. We want that unique, magnetic, magical quality that only you have or only I have, like to highlight that to come forward, right? So the stylist or the person you work with, or maybe it's your sister or your very honest friend, it doesn't have to necessarily be someone you hire, but someone who's going to advocate for you showing up as your best self, number one. But yeah, having someone in your corner to help you, hone in on, here's the thing. If our looks change over the years, and they do, right? You may have been more boho at one point and loose and flowy, and now you're like, okay, I want rock and roll, or I want, classic with a twist. You need to have someone that might be able to help you understand how to put that together, right? And for those of you that don't end up hiring a stylist, a piece of advice that I can give you, if you can't, is like think of a celebrity whose style you want to emulate or that you love. And when you're shopping or getting dressed, you can ask yourself, like, would J-Lo wear this? Or would, Jennifer Garner wear this outfit? And it can kind of help you sort of channel how you want to dress. If you've got something to sort of like put it towards, if you're not working with someone. But I do think, like I said, having someone that's in your corner, that's helping you dress your body, helping you love your body, helping you find the things that highlight your body, it's a great tool if you can do that.
Oh, I love that you said all that. And it's funny. I think my person is maybe Jennifer Aniston. She was doing some jeans ad, and it's like my style. It's like some tank top, a great blazer, jeans, and like maybe during the day it's tennis shoes and a nice strappy sandals. That's about all I can do. And then mixing it up with some, fun accessories.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, I had a woman who liked, she was like, I wanted a cross between J-Lo and Chanel, like a little sexy Jenny from the block, but also like a little pulled together. And I think once you kind of in your mind, you can kind of see what that looks like, or you can see it on a person, then it kind of gives you like, okay, no, this is what she would do, or this is, according to that. or this is not. And it'll give you a little guidance while you're trying to figure things out.
As far as wardrobe staples, you said a blazer. So if a woman is just kind of starting out, and I guess I don't even know if it's the right question because if you are kind of boho, it's only I'm going to ask it for like my corporate ladies and women who are out there in business.
Yeah.
Let's reframe it for them because I've seen this happen. I'm going to tell a quick story actually before I answer the question. I recently did a couple different, we did photo shoots and things for clients, and somebody local around me is a stylist, and they all felt like that was a little bit indulgent. And I said, you're already, it's interesting what we spend money on. I said, you're spending money on a website. You have these speaking engagements, new branding. Somebody was launching a new business, but it felt indulgent. I know there was a psychology there of actually spending the money on a stylist. And I said, you're spending really good money on a great photographer. You're building out a website. This is your storefront. And both these women, leaders in each of their industries, and it felt like this indulgent thing. I pushed for it. I said, you need to do this because you cannot show up, because I know, like, you can't show up in some old ratchety thing that you don't feel good in. The photo shoot's going to tank. The pictures are going to suck. Yep. And so they did it. And again, women who aren't indulging, and then the photographer had the hair and the makeup. I said, you are paying for that. Stop looking at the line items because this is going to have ROI for you mentally, which is then going to have, ROI for your business. And each time in these three recent things I'm thinking of, they fought me and I said, no, you're doing it. Gorgeous, felt the presence was different, showed up differently. Then it translated into these beautiful photographs within just translated into all their marketing pieces. And then they were so happy. So why I'm sure your clients fight, but just if you can explain, like in your world, the benefits of how fashion really does impact your business and proper style impacts your business.
So you're right. I think most women think it's like a first world problem or it's a luxury that they're not allowed to have. And it's true. You invest in all the other things that seem like they're the right thing to do. And this seems very indulgent, as you said. But this is for you. It has long-term effects about how you see yourself. I mean, if I could tell someone, hey, you pay this amount of money and all of a sudden you feel confident, why would you not do that? The makeup's you're going to wash your face, you're going to, wash your hair, whatever. But if working with someone or working with a stylist who is completely in that time frame devoted to you and building your confidence, why would you not make that investment in yourself? It doesn't make sense to me. And that is, I also say it's like a style muscle that you have to flex. And the more you flex it, the better you get at it. And then it becomes just a part of your day. And it does, it makes your voice louder. It makes you ask for more. It makes you show up better. And for women executives that are, sitting at higher roles in a company, what I have seen is that they have given permission to the women that are climbing the ranks to take more opportunity and more, not risks necessarily, because I'm a conservative person. Like I'm typically more covered up probably than not. And I don't think it's about what body part you're showing that's demanding the confidence. It's actually like maybe you're wearing a red suit instead of a black suit, or maybe you're wearing pinstripe, or it's like you got the vest underneath the jacket. Like there's ways to, look, if you invest in yourself and you show up looking a certain way that makes you feel proud, people around you notice it. I think you said this earlier. And it's very much so at work, right? I think corporate America, and I have two sons and I love my husband, but I think men, generally speaking, like women in a certain box where they can understand them in like a navy suit or black suits. It's very traditional. And I think if you take some if you take a leap and use color and print to do the same suit, it does give you a voice. And it says she is confident enough to show up in that and not to sort of sit in a mold. And I think people listen to her more. And like I said, she gives permission to the women climbing the ranks to also take steps to dress in a way that demands confidence and breeds confidence.
I love that. You're making me think of a little funny aside. Actually, this pink jacket I had worn at an event when I was traveling with my girls down in LA, and my one of my daughters was just taking pictures of me drinking wine. So I had some like paparazzi. And one of their friends, it was the cutest thing. They're like, "Ma, look at what our friend said." And this is like, a 17-year-old girl. She's like, "Damn, your mom looks majestic." And I'm like, "Ooh, I'm like, I'm going to take that." But speaking to your, the point of like giving the girls permission, like their 55-year-old mother is not sitting in a corner, taking what life gives her. She's putting on the jacket and making the effort and putting herself out there. So I think we forget too the impact that we have when we step into our power. And especially, obviously, we're all in midlife, our midlife power, that ripple effect that all the women behind us are getting. They're like, I'm just going to get louder, I think, Lisa, as I get older versus quieter.
100%. I mean, look, I hope that the work that our generation right now is doing specifically around menopause and boundaries and not giving a crap about what people think is going to affect our daughters in such a positive way. We are paving that path. But it's true. Like, even with my sons, I am very clear about like how you show up. Look, it's called the 7-11 rule. In the first 7 seconds of someone meeting you, 11 judgments are made. You don't even have to open your mouth. Like,
Ooh.
it is very powerful in what you are saying about yourself. And like, oh, she decided to wear red today, or she's wearing like stacked necklaces. Why did she put the effort into a stacked set of bangles? Why is she wearing layered this? Or you're saying stuff without saying it. So even for my sons, I'm like, look, you do have to make an effort in how you show up. If you don't care about yourself, don't expect someone to care about you either. Like, mark your territory, so to speak. And I'm not saying it needs to be Gucci. We can go to Target and do the same things. The spend on the stylist should be about getting you set up for success. As far as the clothing is concerned, you don't need to necessarily break the bank. And I think there's a lot of brands out there that kind of meet that have quality in fabric and longevity. And I think, as I said earlier, you can use accessories to sort of recreate looks without having to break the bank on your wardrobe. But the effort is the key point, and it is addictive, and it does yield this long-term effect of confidence.
Oh God, I love that. This is such a great way to kind of get to the end of this conversation, because when you have that confidence, and I know some of that confidence gets shaky when we hit midlife because of, myriad reasons, and like ageism in the workplace and changing bodies and all the things we've talked about. This is one thing we can control. And it's that self-care thing that I talk about, we all talk about, and putting ourselves first. And this is a really easy, beautiful way to do that. As a funny aside, when you talked about Target, I remember, and I was young, do you remember when Isaac Mizrahi had a
Oh, yeah.
Target? I had that tan suede skirt, and I remember getting myself to Target early to get it. I can't tell you how many people stopped me on the street with that skirt. I paid like $50 for it at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's Isaac Mizrahi at Target. But yeah, so it's looking, and I think, thank you for saying that we don't have to break the bank. You don't have to be wearing Chanel and Valentino to like look good and feel good. It's really, like you're saying, finding the things that work for your body and that make you feel great. And then splurging on maybe some of your accessories or shoes and things like that are timeless. But thank you, Lisa. I have a couple final questions for you before I let you go, but I could talk to you forever. What do you think the best thing is about being in midlife?
That's a great question. And I will answer it from the perspective of being a woman of color. And I say that, I mean, it applies to all women, but I think there's an added level of it as a woman of color. I think for me, culturally, we're raised, and the more that you do for others, the better you are you're a better woman, like taking care of your in-laws and your parents and your siblings and all the things that we give. There's beauty in that. I'm not taking that away. But I think I have finally hit a point where like I can't do that at the level that I was doing it before. And the reward, or the like, I'm more likable because I do more, I just don't give a shit. I can't. And I can see how it wears on me and how I'm not my best self and how I crack and I just don't give a shit. So now, I feel like boundaries, we say that and it's almost become like cliche, but to tell you the truth, I'm like, if I just need some time, I'm like, I just need some time. I say no now more than I've ever said no in my life. It's the most gorgeous word in the whole world. And I think that has been a gift that I would at my own, I would sacrifice myself to do something for someone else. And now I just can't do it. I need to put the mask on first for a change. And it feels great.
I love that. And thank you for sharing that. And of course, if you're listening to this, you can't see how beautiful Lisa is. And she's a beautiful Indian woman. And you're gorgeous. Thank you for saying that. I think that is one of the biggest things, like just making know your best friend and no more self-sacrifice and start saying yes to yourself. I mean, definitely everyone listening has heard this ad nauseum on this show, but it's really our most important word. Saying no so we can then say yes. Well, my mantra is you're not too fucking old. So everybody says or answers that rallying cry and sends that off as a gift to everyone listening. So Lisa, you're not too fucking old too.
You're not too fucking old is right.
But you fill it in. So it's like you're not too fucking old to do what? So you're not too fucking old too.
You're not too fucking old to take control of your life right now.
Love it. Starting right now.
Right now. Do what you want.
What a beautiful way to end. Well, this has been such a treat chatting with you, my dearest Lisa. Where can everybody find you, follow you, support you, or work with you if they decide that they need a stylist in their lives?
Thank you for asking. You can reach me at my Instagram handle is at the.pausbar. And my website is lisaraja.com. And it would be great to meet and talk to anyone who's looking to hire a stylist. And even if you just want some advice, I always do an intro call with no strings. I think it's important for everyone to kind of have access to how to think about themselves and have someone like me look at you with new eyes and kind of help you see yourself. So if anyone's just interested in a no strings attached call just to kind of get a sense of like what's right for them right now, I'm happy to do that. You can reach me on my contact page on my website. And happy to share what I know.
Well, thank you, Lisa. It has been a joy having you on today. And I'm glad I'm just going to say goodbye for you for a little bit. I know I get to see you again real soon. I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I will see you soon.